distinguished professor, fellow students, everybody who is watching live on Instagram, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of my family, I thank you for tuning in today. I come to you with an important subject that rarely anybody talks about now in our popular culture. I'm here to talk about how do stereotypes in children's television programs influence the behavior of children. I have watched children's shows for years. I have been a critic of so many of them. And what I talk about today is a fitting example. Now, stereotypes are basically ideas or images that are shown on these programs that set bad examples to others. In fact, some kids shows set a bad example that they can influence the behavior of other children. We have seen these kind of shows show that maybe some of us aren't better off than we were. But as I will illustrate today, it's going to be a very big thing to know and learn about. And this speech will come not only from my notes, but from the heart. I'd like to talk to you first about the gender inequality in kids' shows. And let me start with a show that I have fallen in love with for the course of, let's just say, my entire life. I once watched a show called Thomas and Friends, which, as you all know, is about that wonderful train, Thomas the Tank Engine. At the beginning, there were absolutely no female engines at all, but however, a few female engines got added over time, and by season 24, the main cast was showing gender inequality. Now, as we have known over the years, male characters are depicted as strong and dominant, while the females are considered passive and nurturing. This shows that perhaps boys love trains and girls do not, and that could cause them to brag about it. That right there sickens me. But, as we probably know, other shows, such as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Wonder Pets, show mostly male main characters. This could make boys show that they are more dominant than girls. As we all know, and since the president signed an order recently with men not competing in women's sports, we must all treat each other fairly, regardless of gender. This brings me to my second point, the point of violence. And I ask this very simple question. Do superheroes influence the actions of children around others? We have seen superheroes, male and female, in many shows such as the animated adventures of the Justice League and the 60s adventures of the Super Friends. In fact, most of them were male. But as we know, the Powerpuff Girls were entirely female superheroes. However, this could influence brothers to be violent against their sisters and vice versa. And this could happen in schools with boys being violent against girls. But, let me be clear, there is no such way that this should happen. Superheroes are not to be taken seriously. And as we all know, there are some heroes that don't wear a cape and a supersuit. If children are to watch these shows, they should focus on the real heroes. As we all know, those heroes should be those in the community. And a Disney show known as the Higglytown Heroes explains all that. I used to watch it myself. Again, let me say, superheroes should not be taken seriously. Now, I have talked about the shows that show bad stereotypes, but what about the shows that don't show stereotypes entirely? I can think of 3 shows that tackle any and all stereotypes and set a good example. Barney and Friends, The Wiggles, and Sesame Street. They all tackle gender equality, they are not violent, and they encourage everyone to focus on strictly education and provide a friendly culture. They encourage us to open our eyes and learn. As such, we should adapt from their characteristics of good manners, friendship, and body movement and use it to advantage. That is a way I know we can learn from them. Now, let me just come to this. How can these shows we watch be wisely used? We, as adults, should always tell our children, just because this program shows all this doesn't mean we are the said characters. Those characters are not real anyway. They only set examples for life. And let me just close with a quote from another great children's character. That famous TV host, Mr. Rogers. He said, "I like you just the way you are." I believe that we are better just the way we are and nothing else. So I just hope you guys take that to heart. And I want to thank you for turning your attention to this subject today. Thank you and good night.